All right, I think I'm good. Sorry about that. Anyway, Pamela is my name. I stream on YouTube and TikTok yoga in the morning. Um, like I said, I'm not a certified yoga instructor, but I have been doing yoga since 2020. So I'm probably intermediate towards advanced in some things. A lot of things I'm not. Um, I leverage the content on YouTube because there's just a plethora of certified yoga instructors that have their content on YouTube. So I leverage that for my exercise. Um, I'm a yoga enthusiast. I just think it's great. There's so many benefits of it. You know, it helps with you building strength, um, stability, mobility, flexibility, injury prevention. Um, what else? Uh, Relief from aches and pains, those types of things. Um, and so I really love it. I really enjoy it. It's good if you want to practice mindfulness. It helps you in terms of thinking about setting intentions, living an intentional life, not fixating on problems or stresses or anything. It just allows you to clear your mind, free yourself from things that don't serve you. It's just it's a wonderful, peaceful uh, exercise that just adds to your well-being. At least that's my experience, and so I encourage anybody and everybody to do it, regardless of your age, regardless of your uh, physical capabilities or limitations. There's something for everybody. I'm also a former fat girl. I'm 5'5", so I wouldn't consider myself petite. I'm definitely short. And I used to weigh 280 pounds at the height of my struggle with weight. I was morbidly obese, very uncomfortable, and I really struggled with weight for a long time. Either struggling with weight I just believed myself to be fat. I saw myself as a fat girl even when I wasn't, and because is something, I was comparing myself to other people, and I just didn't really feel good about my body and how I looked, and was just overly critical, that I just believed myself to be fat. And because I believed it for so long, I manifested it and it became my reality. um, I my relationship with food and eating in response to being bored, being angry, having my feelings hurt, being sad, being mad, uh, feeling rejected, those types of things. Um, Food was comfort, and even though it was these self-sabotaging behaviors that I had, that I've had to learn to overcome. And if you having struggled with that for many years, it doesn't just leave you. You don't just drop a bunch of weight and then automatically think, oh, I'm beautiful, I'm great, you know i'm I love the way that God made me. I love who I am and what I am and what I look like and all those things. It just doesn't click like that. So I've just found, for me, I have to be intentional in my thinking, intentional in, like, I read God's word every single day. It's a good book with a good word, and it tells the truth, and it gives you strategies um, to overcome negative thinking and buying into negativity and all this insecurities and things like that. It reminds you that we were made in God's image, and God is great and God is perfect, right? And so God made us in his image, and so we should be happy with who we are, and the design that God put forth in making us, right? And so I have to remind myself of these things and live intentionally. And so I still, weight goes up and down, but I do these things, and I'm on this wellness journey, because I can gain weight like that. Back in 2014, I lost between 2014 and 2015. I lost a whole person. I went from being 280 to 140 pounds. But between 2015 and 2019, I had gained back like 43 pounds. And if I hadn't been intentional about, ooh, I got to switch gears, I got to stop doing what I'm doing, I would have ended up being 280 pounds again. Today I'm like between 158 and 160, trying to see if I can get back down to 140, if that's where my body goes naturally, but we shall see. I have fallen in love with fitness. I have embraced my inner athlete that I didn't even know that I had in these years that I was struggling with morbid obesity. So I do a lot and I share a lot on my page. So if you follow me, you'll always see me, doing things that require activity. I get out on my bike, I go hiking, and I play a lot of pickleball, and I do yoga, and I run, and I walk, and just whatever. I like to be out and about and to be active, and I'm intentional about placing these good stresses on my body, because in life there's so much stress that we have to deal with that's bad stress, and I've just found for my own mental health, I need to exert a lot of energy on the activity side so I can build up these reserves of good stress to offset the bad stress when it comes my way, so that I may maintain my peace of mind and my mental state. It's not, we should not take for granted when we wake up in our right mind, because anybody can have a breakdown, anybody can have a mental health challenge. I've had them in the past, and I have no desire to go back to them. So I live my life intentionally every day, pursuing peace and happiness and just overall wellness. So that's me, and I try to be encouraging to others to find their peace and their happiness as well, while each and every day we do good things for this body, this temple that God has given us to protect. So anyway, get off my soapbox now, and let's get to this yoga. I'm gonna do a warm-up. My warm-up lasts no more than like 3.5 minutes. You guys don't have to do it. These are things that I do for my own well-being, to be intentional. I do a handstand, a back bend, and a headstand most days, and there's benefits to all three of them. On the the handstand, I'm building shoulder strength, I'm working on my core strength, my balance. The back bend, I'm being intentional about working on my mobility in my back and the flexibility in my spine to offset the impact of aging and arthritis on these 57-year-old bones. I do headstands as well. Again, that's core strength, balance, and those inversions when you're upside down for a couple minutes. It's really good for your circulation as well. So I like to get the blood flowing before I get into the yoga practice. But yeah, so that's me and what I'm gonna do. So let me go get started with this in 3.5 minutes tops, and then we will get into this yoga. The yoga again today, the yogi is yoga. This is yoga with Cassandra. It's a 30-minute yoga for flexibility and relaxation. Should be a feel-good stretch routine. Okay, you guys ready? Hope you guys have your mats. I don't know if we need props, but it's always good to have some blocks, a strap, a bolster, a pillow, a blanket, those type of things when you're doing yoga, because you never know what your body needs. Okay, so I'm gonna do this warm up, and then we'll get back and we'll do this yoga practice. Thanks for being here. Some days it's easier to stay up. Most days. Let's hope my headstand is better than my handstand today. Alrighty. I didn't stay up quite as long as I normally do, but that's okay. Alright, so once again, it's going to be a 30-minute yoga for flexibility and relaxation. Feel good stretch routine. And again, the yogi is Cassandra, and her channel on YouTube is Yoga with Cassandra.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. My name is Cassandra and I'm going to take you through this full body flexibility flow. So this is really meant to help improve flexibility and mobility through your body. We're really going to emphasize stretching out through your hips, hamstrings, and also a little bit of back bending mixed in as well. I would say this is probably an intermediate level flow, and I'm not using any props, but really whenever we are working on flexibility, everyone is starting from a different place. So if you have blocks at home, they can be really nice to have close by, just in case you want to give yourself a little bit more support in the poses. We're actually going to start standing up at the back of our mat. So you can come on up, and we're just going to be doing some neck circles. So really simple here. You can have your feet hip width distance apart, standing up tall. And we're just going to drop one ear to the shoulder, tracing little half moons, chin to chest, and then all the way to the other shoulder. And just keep going back and forth here. It can be really nice to work from the top down. Try to relax your jaw, even as you circle. Really pressing our shoulders down and away from the ears. And still breathing as we go through this motion. Just take about one more each direction. And when you bring your chin back to your chest, you can lift your head all the way back up. And then we're going to move into some body rolls. So very similar, but articulating all through the spine. Start by bringing your chin to your chest and really slowly start to curl and lower down. At any point that you feel you need to, start to bend your knees, folding down, and then push into your heels to roll all the way up, really doing this inch by inch. And we'll just do that twice more. So tuck the chin in, roll down. You can bend at the knees. And rolling back up. Last one. And with this one, the next time you're down, you're just going to hold there. In this ragdoll fold, let's walk our hands forward, coming into downward facing dog. So in this first downward dog, go ahead and really exaggerate the bend in your right knee and push into your left heel. And at the same time as I'm pushing down into my left heel, I'm trying to lift my seat up a little bit taller and higher. And I'm also trying to press my chest towards my thighs. And let's alternate. So really bend your left knee this time, right leg is straight, push down into your heel, reach out through your arms. And coming back through to neutral, come all the way forward into plank and just lower down onto your stomach from here. So we're going to alternate lifting the legs and lifting the upper body. So with your hands by your side, keep the back of your neck long so you're still facing down towards the mat. You're going to inhale, lift up baby cobra. So hands hover off the floor. And then exhale to lower. Now keep your upper body grounded and see if you can stretch at the back of the knees and lift the legs up. Exhale down. So alternating here, inhale, baby cobra. Exhale to lower. Inhale, legs rise, point and reach through your toes. Exhale, once more, each leg, inhale. And lower. Legs lift up, squeeze, and release. Come up onto your fingertips and you can move the hands off of the mat, kind of like a little spider cobra. You're going to push into the floor to lift your chest up. Keep pushing into the tops of your feet. Shoulders are away from your ears. Think of reaching your chest forward. And release back down. Let's find our puppy pose from here. So you're going to push into your hands to lift up. Keep your hips directly aligned over the tops of your knees. And then walk your hands forward to bring your forehead down to the mat. I'm keeping my arms active for this variation, which means I'm keeping my elbows lifted off of the floor. And I'm trying.
Seems like I lost volume. Hold on a second. All kinds of things going wrong today. The volume just stopped on this video. I don't know why. think I might have to switch because I can't get it to go. I'm so sorry. It just went out. All right, I'm gonna switch gears. Maybe. Maybe it's my TV. I just opened up another video and that's not working either. Told you guys I'm not a certified yoga instructor. Let me just see if I... You know how some things just aren't meant to be sometimes? I am a firm believer that God closes doors. This is so weird. Every day I do this, it was working, then all of a sudden the volume went out, and now my TV doesn't even want to operate. So, strange. Maybe we should just have a conversation instead. 61 people here. So let's have a conversation instead of doing yoga. Let's see. I love your stance. Thank you. I'm so sorry. I really wanted to do yoga. I'm gonna try to turn this on one more time. Because it may just not be meant to be today. It's very strange. Very, very strange. If the volume comes back on, I'll go back and do some yoga. Let's see if the regular TV. Okay, that works. Okay, I'm gonna try one more time.
Shoulders
Oh.
down your back.
This one came back on.
And if it helps you to concentrate, you can close your eyes.
Okay, I'm gonna switch gears.
Start
Wait,
by
wait.
finding a steady breath.
Or maybe, let's go see if I can find. Okay, let's see if we can pick up where we left off. It's back on. Okay.
And if you were down on your forearms, you can come back up onto your hands.
We move back to where we were. In puppy pose. Okay, here we go. Sorry, you guys.
I'm keeping my arms
I'm having all kind of problems today.
Which means I'm keeping my elbows lifted
Bees like
off
that
of the floor.
sometimes, you know?
And I'm trying to almost push my shoulders down to the mat. So a little bit of a back bend, but also really a shoulder opening pose. Keep stretching out and lifting. And let's walk our hands back to tabletop stance. But from from your tabletop pose, make sure the fingertips are spreading wide, engage a little bit through your lower belly, and we're just going to trace some big circles with our right knee, so getting into the hip a little bit more. So you can lift that heel up and then big circle over to the right and back down. Try to keep your left elbow straight and keep some body weight over in your right hand. So we're really just isolating that right hip, not changing the spine too much or the arms. Take one more like this. And then we'll step our right foot to the outer edge of that right hand, coming into a variation of lizard pose or dragon. We're going to tuck the toes under and lift the back knee off the mat. And I like to just kind of rock back and forth a little bit here. So we're trying to melt the hips down, keep the chest slightly lifted, and keep hugging that right knee in towards your right shoulder. And if mobility and range allows, you can continue to do this, but down onto your forearms. So just 2 more breaths, in whichever variation you've chosen. And if you were down on your forearms, you can come back up onto your hands. And we're going to find 3-legged dog from here. So your right leg is going to stretch all the way up towards the sky. Bend your right knee and open up your hip. Really squeeze your heel in towards your seat to get that knee up even higher. And now we're going to step our foot about halfway to the top of the mat. So it's about, 1.5 feet behind my right hand. And then I'm going to roll to the outer edges of both feet so that I'm now leaning on my left hand and my right arm will reach up overhead. So a variation of our side plank. As you exhale, you're going to send those hips down. So try to even touch your left hip to the ground. Reach your right arm back. So big side body stretch. And then inhale, push the feet into the floor to lift up. Exhale, sink the hips down. Really stretch deeply here. Inhale to lift. Our last one, exhale. Facing forward from plank pose, lower all the way down to your belly. Clasp your hands behind your lower back. Let's find Shalabhasana, locust pose. So pick up the legs and the chest from off the mat. Really stretch at the back of the knees. Keep the back of your neck long. Try to lift your knuckles off of your tailbone. Roll the head of the arm bones back. Lift up a little more. And release, wide like a child's pose. Big toes together, knees as wide as you can get them. As you press your hips back towards your heels, walk your hands out, and melt into the pose. A good 10 deep breaths right here. So while we are mainly trying to relax our hips down towards the heels, we're also trying to encourage our chest to melt to the mat. Another variation that you can do of this pose at home can be to instead bring your chest down and your chin to the mat instead. This can be a little much for the back of the neck, so personally I like to just keep my forehead down. But if it feels good for you at home, you're welcome to do that. A little bit more intense version of the pose. Three more deep breaths. And we'll just meet back in our tabletop pose, walking the hands in, bringing your knees back to being hip-width distance apart. And setting ourselves up for those knee circles or hip circles on the left side. So you can kick that left heel up and then go over to the left before coming back down. Again, try not to twist and move. your spine too much or to change what your arms are doing. Just really working on isolating left lower side body. Take one last one here. And we'll come into our dragon pose or lizard pose, so you can step that left foot to the outer edge of your left hand. My knee is pretty much directly over the top of my ankle. I'm gonna tuck the back toes under and then invite my hips to melt down as I just rock a little bit back and forth. Imagine you can do a little back bend almost in this pose. So it's like I'm melting my heart down, rolling my shoulders back. And if you did it on the first side, you can come down onto your forearms. If this feels like too much, of course, just stay up onto your palms. Keep trying to hug that left thigh in towards your left upper arm. You know, it can be a little harder when we're down on our forearms to do this. And then coming back onto the palms, if you weren't there already, three-legged dog. So you're gonna send that left leg all the way up and back. Really bend your left knee, and again, you're trying to squeeze and almost touch your left heel to your left glute. Into this modified side plank, you're gonna step your left foot about halfway, kind of like the middle of your mat, and then roll on the outer edges of both feet. Reach your left arm up and over, bicep is along the ear, and I'm really pushing into the ground to help lift my hips up even higher, so big side body stretch. And then exhale, try to bring your right hip down to the floor. Let yourself sink into that shoulder as you reach that left arm back. Big side bend. Lift up, inhale. Exhale, lower down. Once more. And exhale. Facing forward, plank, just so we can lower to our bellies. We're gonna take locust, Shalangasana again. This time, interlace your hands the more unusual way, so get your other thumb on top. And when you're ready, lift everything up. So an important part of flexibility is also actually strengthening the muscles. So if you want deeper back bends, it's important to work on strengthening the erectors, the muscles along the spine, instead of only focusing on range of motion and flexibility. And let's release. I'll give you an option. You're welcome to do child's pose again. If you'd like to do something different, I'm gonna do a belly butterfly, which can be quite challenging. It's a really great pose if you are working on hip flexibility. So exactly like the name implies, you're bringing your legs in the butterfly position, so with the feet together, knees apart, but you're just staying down on your belly. And over time, we're trying to work our heels closer towards the mat. Personally, this is one of the hardest poses for my body, just because of my shape of my pelvis and my bones. So it's also really important to keep in mind when we're working on flexibility. Well, sometimes it all just comes down to our anatomy. And if you're in this belly butterfly like I am, you can also play with a little windshield wiper motion with the knees. So if I try to bring both feet over to the right, I'm able to get my left heel a little bit closer down, and then kind of alternating that side to side. 3 more breaths. And instead of coming back to tabletop, we're going to find our way into downward facing dog. So however you get there, either from child's pose or your belly butterfly, have your feet hip width distance apart, hands shoulder width distance apart as you lift your seat up nice and high. See if you can get your heels a little bit closer towards the mat, stretch out a little longer. Let's extend our right leg up towards the sky. Keep it straight and square this time. And we're going to come into our low lunge Anjaneyasana. So right foot forward between the hands, back knee comes down to the mat, and go ahead and rise on up. You're going to lengthen your tailbone down. As you reach your arms, grab a hold of your left wrist with your right hand and see if you can crescent over, finding a side bend from here. Still melting and pressing your hips forward and down. Inhale all the way back into center. From here, you're going to bring that right knee and that right leg back. So I'm crossing my right thigh over the left one. I'm widening my feet away from one another. And then I'm pressing my hips back. If the range of motion is limited, you're just going to work on this pose from here, working on pressing it back. Otherwise, if you're able to, you're going to come into cow face pose, Gomukhasana, sitting the hips down, either staying elevated in the pose or folding forward. We're really getting into our hips here. Push your hands into the floor. Go ahead and lift yourself up. All you're going to change is you're going to straighten that left leg. So this is a variation of cow face pose. I think it's a pretty intense one. We're really working on the hamstrings down the left leg and fold on forward from here. And you'll probably notice I'm not folding very far. This is a pretty tough pose for me. So it really doesn't matter how far you end up going into a pose, the benefits are the same. So don't feel like you always have to push yourself to do more, to go further. And lifting all the way up, uncross the legs. We're just going to do reverse tabletop pose to stretch at the front of the shoulders. So feet hip width distance apart, hands shoulder width distance apart. Push down, squeeze through your seat and lift up as high as you can go. And exhale, release, cross at the ankles, downward facing dog. And we'll go and repeat the sequence over on the other side. You're welcome to hang out in downward dog, or you can take a vinyasa. Inhaling plank, chaturanga, so hovering halfway. Or Gomukhasana, this is your upward facing dog. And we meet downward facing dog. Left leg rises, keep it straight this time. Anjaneyasana, your low lunge. Left foot steps forward, back knee comes down to the mat. Reach your arms up. So really staying strong and engaged through the lower belly. Grab a hold of your right wrist with your left hand. Inhale, lift up taller. And then exhale, crescent over towards the left. And hopefully this helps you get the stretch a little bit deeper through your right hip flexors. All the way back up through to center. Frame the front foot with both hands. We're coming to Gomukhasana, our cow face pose. So I'm going to wrap my left thigh over my right one. I'm going to widen my feet away just to make room for my hips. And maybe I'm just working on pressing and holding from here, or I'm dropping my hips down to the mat and folding forward. It's very normal if one side feels just like a little stickier than the other. So those changes are completely fine, completely normal. What we want to stay constant and the same is the rhythm and the flow of our breath. So even when things feel really intense, we want to avoid that natural tendency to hold the breath. It won't make the pose any easier. And lifting all the way up, let's straighten that bottom leg. So right leg goes forward. You might need to shift around a little bit here and we fold on down. And again, I'm doing more of a yin style fold here. So I'm letting my spine round. I'm letting my head drop. I'm not pushing or pulling. It's mainly gravity doing most of the work for me here. And lifting all the way back up, uncross the legs, reverse table one last time. Push into the hands, push into the feet, squeeze and lift your seat up. Really try to stretch into your shoulders primarily. And we'll release downward facing dog. This is our last opportunity to take a vinyasa. Of course, you're welcome to skip it and just hang out in your downward dog. Otherwise, take that flow. And from this downward dog, let's bring our knees to the mat and go ahead and lower all the way down onto your back. We'll come into a variation of bridge pose. That's kind of like supported bridge, but instead of using a block, we're gonna use our hands. So start to lift your seat off the ground, and then you're going to shrug your shoulders and your elbows underneath you so that your palms are supporting your pelvis, just to get a little bit more height. Slow, steady breaths here. Try not to let your knees splay open. Keep a gentle squeeze through the inner thighs. One more big breath. And exhale, slowly lower down inch by inch. So I'll give you guys an option. We're either going to come into wheel pose, Dhanurasana. If this feels like maybe it's too much, you can just do that same bridge pose once more, or you can even do camel pose, coming to kneeling if that feels a little bit better for you. I'm just gonna shift down so I have room here. So if you're coming into wheel, you're gonna frame your head with your hands, palms, fingertips are spreading really nice and wide, feet are super active, pushing into the mat, and then you can lift yourself up and really working on this extension through the arms, through your chest, staying super active and strong through your legs. Just 3 more breaths. If you need to come out sooner, of course, do so. And very slowly, ease on out. And pull your knees in towards your chest. Maybe rock a little bit side to side. We'll come into shoulder stand and plow pose. From here should feel really nice after those back bends. So I'm just kind of shrugging my shoulder blades underneath me a little bit. And then we're gonna lift the hips up. And just like what we were doing kind of in that bridge pose, you can support your hips with your hands. And lifting your legs up. And maybe this is where you'd like to stay. If you'd like to transition to plow, you can drop one and both legs behind, either keeping your hands to rest on your lower back or grounding them to the mat. If you have your hands and arms flat, support your hips again. Very slowly come out of this one. Try not to slingshot your head and your shoulders up as you lower the hips. So be really mindful and controlled. When the hips drop down, and you can just pull your knees in towards your shoulders, or maybe come into an Anandavalasana, your happy baby pose. Massaging the lower back a little by rocking side to side. And before we go into Shavasana, let's take a reclined twist. I'm gonna open my arms to a little cactus shape here. And then hips are gonna go right. I'm gonna wrap my right thigh over my left one, kind of like my eagle legs, before dropping both knees over to the left. So if there's anything that feels funny through your lower back after this sequence and these deep back bends, twists are a great way to help reestablish and come back to a more neutral position and neutral alignment. And you can tone your belly to float the knees up, uncross the legs, and we'll shift to the other side so your hips can go more towards the left side of your mat. Wrap your left thigh over your right and drop both knees over to the right. Try to press that left shoulder blade down into the mat. It might be lifted up, but try not to have it lifted more than an inch. So we don't want to be rolling over to the right side. Let's come back through to center. We're just going to make our way to Shavasana, our final resting pose. Really important to do, especially after a more intense practice like this. Even if there wasn't a whole lot of strength necessarily needed, there were definitely bigger poses with deeper stretches. So this is just your opportunity to really process and integrate all of that work you've done. So you can close your eyes, take up space. Enjoying this time of silence and stillness. We'll stay here for a few more minutes. And I'll let you know when it's time to ease out. You can breathe a little deeper, move through your fingers and your toes, waking back up, maybe stretching your arms up overhead if that feels good. And just roll to one side, push your arms into the floor to help yourself come up, and take a seat in any way that feels good for your hips and your lower back. Eyes can stay closed as you join your hands together at the front of the heart. Take a moment to really notice how you feel now. Let's close by chanting Om one time. Inhale to chant, breathe in. Thank you so much, everyone, for doing this flexibility flow with me. I hope you feel really good in your body after this sequence. Please leave me a comment below. Do subscribe if you don't already. It's a great way to support free yoga on the internet.
All right, thank you guys for sticking with me. Murphy's Law says what can go wrong will go wrong, but I like the fact that we can just, go with the flow, make it work, have some technical difficulties, but be patient and move forward. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you being here. I hope you guys had a good practice. Hope you guys enjoyed the yoga. Hope you're trying it on your own time as well. And I hope that you'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back. Oh, today's Friday. Happy Friday, by the way. I hope to see you tomorrow, Saturday. I'll be here 6 a.m. in the morning. You guys have a fabulous day, okay?